Hello all, welcome to a lecture on Introduction to International Law. Today we will be discussing about what international law is and how did it grow to what we see today. Law is that string that joins individual units of a community together. It communicates to the members of the community their value standards recognized by habitual adherence. Law in practice comes in forms of series of rules that regulate behavior by creating, altering, and deleting legal relations between individuals of the community. So, when we say public international law, it again reflects the same idea, but with an important difference that the principal subject of international law are nation states. To quote jurist Malcolm Shaw, it is the law that operates outside and between the states, international organizations, and individuals. International law can majorly be divided into 1. Conflict of laws, also known as private international law. 2. Public international law. Now let me briefly explain the two. Private international law deals with cases within legal systems where foreign law or foreign courts are involved, while public international law is not an adjunct legal order, rather it is a separate system of law. It will be public international law that we will be discussing in detail in this course. As I said before, public international law is about the relations between states from war to trade to joint scientific exploration to human rights. It can be universal, that is, such rule will be applicable to all the states or certain regions which agree to be governed by the special rules which shall apply only to them. You should be mindful to not confuse international law with international comity, like respecting or saluting flags of foreign warships at seas, etc. They are a matter of courtesy and not legally binding. It should not be confused with international morality also. However, they are not parallel lines without meeting at any point. The key difference being international law, its subject and structure is normative, and international morality is more of ethics. By now, you would have understood that international legal order is founded on the concept of state and state sovereignty. This key idea of modern international law comes from the Treaties of Westphalia of 1648-1649, which came as an ending of the 30 Years of War. However, it may not be proper to understand that the concept of nation-state began with the Treaties of Westphalia, as it neither created nor constituted the laws of nation, nor did they establish any new political or legal institution, that is, outside Germany. However, it is safe to say that the Treaties of Westphalia consolidated the concept of nation-state. Therefore, public order system founded on the state sovereignty is called Westphalian. The intellectual history of modern international law definitely begins from Europe, that is, extended Europe to the whole of Mediterranean to Russia and the Near East, which then was proposed and travelled with travelers and colonizers as trade deals, diplomatic relations, wars, and subjugations. During these nascent ages of international law, Asia was falling to the scourge of colonialism. Some countries in Asia did escape the colonial power and did assert their independence, either because it was convenient for the colonial powers, like in the case of Thailand, or because the state was capable to modernize internally, as in the case of Japan, who crushed the Russian Navy in the Battle of Tsushima in 1905. Similar was the story of the African continent. The whole continent was divided among the great powers, Great Britain, France, Belgium, Germany, Spain, Portugal, and Italy, following the Berlin Conference of 1884 and the scramble of Africa. This set the globe by 1920s in a Eurocentric image, reducing the number of countries to only 64, of which 16 were former Spanish and Portuguese colonies in South and Central America. And of the other non-European participants, only 7 states managed to retain some degree of independence. They were Ethiopia, Liberia, the Ottoman Empire, which is Turkey, Thailand, China, Japan, and Afghanistan. This led to sovereignty to assume a unique value, and therefore by 1920, international law is seen to be entirely dependent on consent, be it express or implied, and the law applied to states only. And this led to formation of international organization, adding a new dimension to international legal personality. In the 19th century, countries moved from bilateral treaties and one-to-one diplomatic relation to other ways of cooperation. Congress of Vienna of 1814 ushered the era of international conferences and multilateral treaties. Further, the Hague Peace of Conference of 1899 and 1907, though failed in preventing a world war, it brought in the idea of permanent court and a practice of multilateral regulation, all which ultimately led to the formation of League of Nations in 1919 and United Nations in 1945, institutionalizing a multilateral cooperation and peacekeeping efforts. Over the course of 20th century, international law grew profoundly. That includes the creation of international organization of universal membership with treaty-making powers such as UN, detailed elaboration of law of seas, establishment of permanent bodies of international dispute resolution, curtailing use of force by countries. Subject of international law grew by specialization and forming sub-disciplines such as international human rights law, international environment law, international economic law, etc. This would be a brief history and introduction to international law. Thank you for joining today's discussion on international law.